Welcome to Edge of the Rabbit Hole. We have a great episode tonight for you here with my co-host Vanessa Hogle. As always, we're going to be talking about remote viewing and how psychic mediums do remote viewing, remote drawing, and other types of phenomena like that. Should be really, really great. And you know what, Vanessa? I forgot to get the t-shirt out here, so I'm just going to say it. If you haven't gotten your Haunted Road Media t-shirt or hoodie, make sure to do so. And of course, we have Ghosty as well with us as always. So, yes, here's Vanessa Hogle, and of course our chat Shananigator, the lovely Shana down in the chat room, shaking up the chat. It's going to be a great episode, Vanessa. I know you are really looking forward to talking about this tonight, because there is something that is going on. So, do we have any housekeeping to take care of before we jump right in?
I want to make sure that we go ahead and give a shout out to Super Woody Boy. He contacted me today and is unable to watch for the next little bit because they changed his work schedule.
Yeah, that's lousy.
Since he's such a great supporter of us, I didn't want to forget him.
And I just saw that Megan Talbert jumped into the chat, and they just lost their dog, and so I just condolences out to Megan and her family. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, it broke my heart today when I saw. I can't even imagine. But I think that was pretty much it. I think you and I have at least a quiet month or so coming up.
And also some positive energy for Shauna's mom, because she's recovering from a bit of a health issue. So, better today than a few days ago. So that's good.
And if anybody out there in the chat right now can send any positive vibes, Gwen Clapper's way. Her husband Gene is back in the hospital, and that's. This will be the third time in the last little bit. Yeah. So spread that love, y'all. Spread that love. Okay, we really need it. But I think that's about it, Mike. I think we're good.
Yeah, I think that's about it. Anybody new joining us tonight, please go ahead and subscribe and click that little bell notification to keep us going along. And I know my sister isn't gonna watch this, but sis, you're fucking wrong. There we go. So without further ado, take it away, Vanessa. You are a resident psychic medium, remote viewer, remote drawer. This is really your forte. And I know it's something that people have a lot of interest in. So,
yes, and because we're doing this tonight, I'm not in the chat like I normally am, being able to kind of view things. So Mike will field any questions that anybody has. Simply because I wanted to be able to focus my energy on this. And I fully intended to start out with a bit of a tutorial.
I got to cut you off just real quick. I'm sorry, because Shana just posted it. Andrew Cubbage is having an MRI tomorrow, so send positive vibes for that. So
please, everybody, yes, send some love to Andrew. I wanted to start off with a tutorial and just kind of explain how things work for people that do this, and I will. What I want to get off my chest first is what we have dealt with today. I'm sure that everybody knows about the 3-year-old little girl that is missing in North Carolina. Her name is Mariah. I believe it's Mariah K. Woods. I have tried to get a hold of law enforcement since 1 o'clock this afternoon. Local sheriff's department that is responsible for taking information. I have not heard back from them. I was on the phone for about 20 minutes today with somebody. Part of that waiting. Fine. No problem. My boss knew. She let me do it. When I didn't hear back by 5, which I do understand people being busy, especially in this particular situation, I called the FBI. Because the FBI is part of this investigation, at least according to everything you can find on it. The lady that I talked to at the FBI, after double checking to make sure that she was correct, informed me that she could not take my information because they had been instructed by the local sheriff's department that all information had to go to them or Crime Stoppers.
Okay. And this had nothing to do with you being a remote viewer or psychic medium. You didn't tell her any of that.
No, I did not tell her that until after she told me that she could not take my information.
Okay.
So I'm like, I got to try again. I just have to. So I pulled up one of the articles and found the actual investigative line that I could call, not just the sheriff's department. So this is directly from an article written about this little girl, the specific phone number that you were supposed to call. So I did. I called them.
Breaking up a little bit.
What I do. I did not tell them what I do.
Okay.
I just told them that I had possible information on the missing persons case of Mariah K. Woods. And I was told this exactly. Well, you're just going to have to call back tomorrow because there's nobody here.
Yeah, and see, in a case like this, time is always so much of the essence. We were chatting about it just before the show. Whether or not it's a complete nut job. I mean, with you have valuable information. But to me, I would take down every single statement, lead, comment, whatever, and you can weed out the stuff that's garbage. But you talk to everybody, and like I said, with you and what you do, you're going to have some valuable information.
I didn't even tell him what I did.
Yeah, you didn't even get to that point yet.
No, I just said I had possible information on the missing persons case in North Carolina of a 3-year-old little girl, Mariah K. Woods, and I was told to call back tomorrow.
Yeah, see, that's just absolutely ridiculous. Call back tomorrow when, and if she's still alive, call back tomorrow. So you never know what can happen in that next 12 hours.
Exactly. The first 24 are the most crucial.
Yes, that's the most crucial.
The
first 24. Yeah. Well past.
So then I said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm calling Crime Stoppers. I'm calling Crime Stoppers because apparently they are putting Crime Stoppers above the FBI because you're allowed to give information to Crime Stoppers. And so I called Crime Stoppers and I told them that I had possible information and that could somebody please take it. And I told her, I said, it is a drawing of somebody I believe to be involved in the case. And she says, ma'am, I don't have the capability to accept that information. But let me take your name and number, and I will have somebody call you as soon as possible. That was, what time is it, Mike? It's 8:40 here?
Yeah, 9:40 over here, so it's 9:40 on the East Coast.
That was about 6:30 tonight. It's 8:40 now.
Okay, so 7:40 our time. So, yeah that's
that ridiculous. Over 2 hours ago.
Megan is asking if you sense that she's okay or if she's passed on.
At this point right now, the only contact that I have had is an image of the person that I believe to be involved. And I'm sure people will ask me, why are you not posting that on social media? A few choice people have this picture as a reference if it ever comes down to that. But the reason I'm not posting this on social media is because if this person is watching the case,
right?
If they're watching the case and they recognize themselves, if she is alive, she won't be for long.
Yeah, you don't want to alert them.
Exactly. I don't want them to run. I don't want them to change their appearance.
Right.
And I am not saying that I am correct. I am not saying that I have all the answers, nor am I saying that my word is law. I say this guy did it, and by golly, he did it. That's not what I'm saying, but what I am saying is a 3-year-old little girl who has difficulty walking and needs her braces is not, all of the information is not getting to law enforcement like it should.
Right, and that's
absurd. Such a breakdown of communication.
Yeah. Real quick, I do want to give a shout out to our Periscope users down there. I can't really see the chat down there, guys, but I do see your hearts, and we do appreciate those hearts. So, I know Tom McNicholas is down in there. Since the episode is on, remote viewing, this is tragic. What's happened to this little girl, that she's missing. That they're not taking all the information. But my question for you is, how is it with you as a medium, as somebody who's a remote viewer, how is it that you're getting these images and impressions of what's going on here, or who's involved? How does that work?
It can be different for every single case. Okay, I'm going to speak about this one, then I'll speak about the one I did for law enforcement years ago. Okay, I had seen pictures of this popping up on social media over the last 12 to 20 hours. And admittedly, I purposely just shared and ran. Just shared and ran, because this isn't what, it frightens me. It terrifies me that, the chances of finding a child could literally rest on somebody like myself. It does frighten me, because what if we're wrong? And I admit that. That scares me. And I don't want to be wrong, but something told me to look at her picture longer. Something told me to look at her picture longer. And I was driving back from lunch.
Is that just like, I gotta ask, is that just like an intuition? Just like a little bell goes off in your head?
Yes. Okay. And it just said, look at her picture. Just look at her picture. And so I'm driving back. I just went and got a bag of hot fries for lunch. And so I'm driving back to my office. And I sit in the parking lot for just a second. And I look at the picture. And I get the image of a man in my head. And a couple of other distinguishing features. And that don't have anything to do with his face. They were almost like pieces of a body. And when I say a body, I don't mean hers. Okay? That have distinguishing marks. And I'm keeping all of that to myself until I speak to law. I sat there, I looked at that, I saw the image, so I ran inside, grabbed a piece of paper that we used to cover our dental trays, no joke, and a pen, and drew them out. And took a picture of it so I would have it. And my job is used to me doing this. They're used to me doing this.
They're used to you just right there in the dental office, just boom,
they're used to me whipping out a pen and drawing a dead person or somebody that needs to be contacted. They're used to it. And a good example of that is, I want to say it was the day that I was going to do one of the shows for Noreen. A gentleman came to me over lunch. I guess they give me time now. They wait till lunchtime.
They know your schedule now.
I know, right? And he came to me, and I saw him. And I'm like, well, this is an interesting fellow, because he's not speaking to me, And I don't know why, but I had to draw him. And so I drew him. And then I did, and I thought nothing else of it.
Right.
I thought nothing else of it. And I did the show that night for Noreen, and we're about halfway through the show. And I says, something came up, and I said, Noreen, you're not going to believe this. I had a really good one come to me today, and I drew a good picture of him. I'm going to send it to you real quick. And this was during the show.
Okay.
And so I sent her a picture on Facebook privately through a DM, and it was heartbreaking because it was her friend, I believe, who had passed away a week before.
Oh.
And I didn't know him. He wasn't on my friends list, didn't know he passed away, couldn't have picked him out of a lineup. But it was his spit image.
Okay.
And she verified that. Another time this has happened, this is before they learned my schedule. I was working in Lawton, Oklahoma, for the dental company that I work for.
Okay.
And I had a gentleman come to me, but he didn't come like they normally do, where I could see them right in front of me. He actually showed himself to me in a picture. A very attractive black man. I would put him about in his 40s or so at the time.
Okay.
Very handsome, bright smile, just sunshiny yellow shirt, beautiful green trees behind him, just a stunning picture. And I didn't know why I was showed that at the time, until my phone rang an hour later, and it was the wife of a local police officer, and she knew what I do.
Okay.
And she says, Vanessa, we need your help. And I said, I already know.
So they actually called you based on your reputation. Okay.
They called me, and the case ended up working out as I expected it to. along with the image of the person that I believe to have something to do with his disappearance before they found him.
Okay.
So, I mean, this is not something that I seek out. I'm not going to lie. Missing person cases scare me.
Oh, sure.
When I know they're deceased, and it's just about finding a body, I'm more okay with that. But I'm just as frightened of giving wrong information as the next person.
Yeah, because you don't want to put the person who's been kidnapped in any greater danger.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But this is a situation where it is simply, let me give you this photograph or this drawing. What you do with it is up to you. But let me give it to you.
Yeah, you're just trying to at least pass it along.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I wasn't shown it for no reason. And you and I talked before the show about where I think it's going, and I won't go into that now.
I know.
But it's something, and that's what I want people to understand, and that's where the true heart and grit of remote viewing and automatic drawing comes into play, is it is all about trusting your gut.
Yeah.
All about trusting your gut. I'm not special.
Let me ask you something about the drawing specifically. So, now I've heard of others where with their automatic drawing, they're basically sitting there in front of a piece of paper, and what they say is that, a spirit guides their hand across the paper. With you, it seems like a little different, like the image is in your head, and you're basically drawing yourself what is in your head.
Yes. Yeah, they show me what I need to draw, and I draw it.
Okay.
So, I mean, I guess it's kind of like painting a little bit for me. I mean, when I painted, back on my Facebook page, people can see it, when I painted the Stonehenge painting, I painted that from a dream, but I painted it upside down and then actually had to turn the canvas over. So, which is kind of weird.
Yeah. Hey, we have a question from Donna Gorton.
Yes.
She says, Vanessa, do you find it easier to have a photo to help tune in or no?
Okay. It depends. It depends. With the case that I worked for the police here in Oklahoma, I needed no photo.
Okay.
What I did need was a psychiatrist when it was done, because the particular gentleman actually had Alzheimer's, so the messages I were getting were 20 to 30 years apart.
Right.
That was very, 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 very difficult. I didn't know he had Alzheimer's. I just knew that I had happy, young, 40-something-year-old man, terrified, 60-something, dying man.
Yeah.
And all that space in between, there was nothing. So, but it can help. It can help to see a single photograph. It doesn't help to see a group photo or things like that. It really doesn't. Because you can focus on other people's energy and not get the information that you need. But it can help, but it isn't completely necessary.
Okay.
It isn't completely necessary. And the other thing, and I do want to bring this up, just because I don't think people think about this a lot, but I always vet the cases that I see on social media. I always look them up on a legitimate law enforcement site or news site before I even attempt to contact law enforcement. And
you never know what you get on social media.
Well, I actually had to inform one of my friends and followers yesterday or the day before that the one that she was reposting was actually a guy that had stolen a picture of a little girl and was posting that she had been kidnapped so he could get attention.
Yeah, see, people do stuff like that. That's what I'm saying. You never know what you get on social media. So,
exactly.
It's kind of, one of the downsides of the internet. While we have access to all this great information, you never know what you get, and so you do have to, go through, do a little research and support. It's just like even with the news media these days, you're getting, a one-sided, biased opinion. Now with this case, a little different because, it's mostly reporting facts. Here's the case, but as you get further and further down the internet rabbit hole, the chances of some story or some piece of information being out there being untrue is greater. So yeah,
exactly, just like we were talking about on Bill and Chris Reap's show last night. Threefold was on there, and we were discussing how I had seen on a news news site on the internet that multiple bodies have been found at Willowbrook.
Yeah, you have to be careful. Some of those news sites are parody parody sites. Some of them are just flat out fake shit.
Big time. This one was because no, they hadn't. No, they hadn't.
Crazy Canuck. Hey, Patrick, how you doing? So I just he threw out a hey, Mike. I just want to make sure.
What's up? Yeah. But aside from me being pissed, the reason for this show and all of this happened today, which is why I wanted to go ahead and address that. The reason for this show was to let y'all know that I love the fact that people trust me. I love the fact that they feel that they can come to me. But I would love even more if we all trusted ourselves enough to do this for ourselves. I really do. Like I said, like I stated earlier,
well,
I'm not special.
I get that. You've also been doing this. You've also been doing this a long time, and having known you for a while, like years ago, and even not so many years ago, there are times that we'd have like some sort of interaction together, and I would affirm for you, something that you said, well, I see this and I see this and I see this, and I'd say, yeah, that's exactly it, and you'd be like, you'd actually thank me for confirming what it was that you're picking up on. So for somebody who's not as seasoned as you, I would think that having that affirmation would certainly help out, because I think a lot of people that suddenly are getting these visions, or they're being shown something, or whatever you want to call it, they get a little skittish, wondering, okay, what is it I'm seeing? Is this real? Will people believe me? So I think that there's certainly that lack of confidence, as somebody's first starting to pick up on these things.
Well, and here's the thing, and if I can give one bit of advice to anybody, this is so unbelievably important. I posted it a couple of weeks ago, I think. Humility is everything. It's everything. You have to be willing to be wrong.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to accept the fact that the information you give may be inaccurate. And you have to be willing to try again.
Yeah.
Because it comes in the strangest ways you can imagine. I've talked about this before on the show, but I'm going to touch on it again real quick. I did an investigation in El Dorado, Oklahoma years ago. It was the one that was done for Animal Planet's The Haunted, the
Lee house. Yep.
Yeah. How I had the balls to give them the information I had still shocks me. Because if anyone would have went through my notebook that I did for 2 weeks before they picked me up to go to the case, they would have thought I was necking futs. Okay? Because I had different houses drawn. I had cats everywhere. I had these weird 3D glasses that I actually saw in a dream as barrettes down the back of a woman's hair as I followed her through a warehouse store like Sam's with cats perched everywhere through these double doors into a dressing room for chihuahuas. Okay? So as crazy and Xanax and LSD that sounds, that was actually a dream, not induced by Ambien or anything else. That was just a dream. And when we rolled into El Dorado and got to the location, we took a left and then took a right down the street that this house was on. The two houses I drew, about 75 years apart in build. One was to the left, facing the house we were going to. One was catty-cornered, facing the house we were going to. The street was lined with cats, all staring at the house we were going to. the not shutters, the shingles
Okay.
on the back of the house had separated to form 3 perfect 3D crosses right above the area that was believed to be a portal. And lo and behold, what did the homeowners have? Chihuahuas dressed in clothes.
Right.
So it doesn't matter how insane the information is and how much sense it doesn't make to you. What matters is that you write it down. You draw it out. You share it when you need to. You've got to get it out there. You've got to start trusting yourself. I've had more people tell me I am crazy than dollars I have made in my life. And I'm fine with that. You want to think I'm nuts? That's fine. You also don't have to be Picasso to do this. Your drawings don't have to be perfect.
I was commenting on your the drawing that you showed me earlier tonight. I was commenting that your drawing is actually getting better.
I'm trying,
Yeah.
But it's, I think, and it's really weird that you bring that up.
It's more detailed.
Because I believe that my drawings are getting better because they're able to show themselves to me more clearly, or I'm opening up more and able to see more detail.
Okay.
So I think that it's kind of a combination of the two. So when people are starting out doing this, one of the things that I tell them is, if you're not the best artist, if you don't have as much confidence in your drawings as you should or as you would like, do the best you can and then write a description. Simply write it right next to the picture. Hair color, eye color. Are there any distinguishing marks? Are they saying anything to you? Are they giving you any dates? Are they giving you any names? Whatever. I don't care if it's okay.
Yeah. So the important thing is to get the information out there. It's not like you're a seasoned police sketch artist or something like that, where they have all the features and details and all that.
Exactly.
But at least you have the information down there.
A lot of the sketch artists, they have a book that they go through that everything is already sketched, and it's a flip book where they can change the eyes, change the eyebrows.
Those too, yeah.
Those. And it doesn't work that way for us. We're literally... Go ahead, hon.
No, it's just... You're fine. I was going to cut it. Tom wants to know if you have any drawings to show tonight. I don't think you had prepared any.
I will not show the one from tonight.
Not the one from earlier, but I think the question is if you have anything else.
Oh, well, hell. Oh, yeah?
Well, here you go. All right.
Hold on 1 second. Y'all, I'm in my jammies and my Marilyn Manson sweatshirt. So, shit, I wasn't expecting that.
So
I expected y'all to be drawn.
And thank you down there again in Periscope for the hearts. Tom McNicholas and Lynn's White are down in there. So, and for those, I don't know who else because I can't see the names when they pop up. So, but I know those two for a fact are down there.
This was one, I believe this one was for you guys.
Oh, yeah?
And this was when you were, I can't remember what location you were at, but it was the boy that I saw.
I'm going to hit a Skype only here. Oh, yeah, where were we? Oh, that was for Vandalia. Yep. Yeah. That was the German boy in Vandalia.
Yeah. See his little overalls?
Yeah, the lederhosen.
Yeah.
But it could be overalls because even German immigrants didn't wear lederhosen in the United States, but could very well be overalls.
I think it was
just overalls. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see here. I wasn't even anticipating this, and I suppose I should have. I should have had a feeling.
Oh, and I'm hearing that Amber is on Periscope as well. Thank you, Amber. So, since I have it on you, I'm gonna show you. Hey guys, thanks for hanging out down here at Periscope. Appreciate it.
I don't know if you can see that one that well.
Yeah, I mean I can see it, and it's a little bit lighter in color.
How's that?
That's good.
That's another one. That was from a different case.
Yeah.
A lot of times I
and see that stuff is more detailed. That's from more recent stuff, and I know going back to like your Soulscapes book. Yeah, those were a little bit rougher. I mean, you still had a lot of great information because you're like you were saying, you're providing. You weren't writing out in words, but you were showing the different details, whether there was, a car or whatever else was involved. You're drawing out those things.
There's another one.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it gets more detailed as I'm able to see a little bit better what they look like, And the thing is, it doesn't always come with a picture of their face. I had a case that I worked in Texas. Not a case per se. This was a private thing for an individual, and all I knew was that they had lost somebody. And I think people have read this in. I think it was this. It was Soulscapes. If they've read Soulscapes.
Okay.
This reading was over the phone, and I didn't have a description of the gentleman that came through because I was kind of looking through his eyes.
Okay.
So he showed me the image of another male, of a female, of NASCAR flags, the little black and white checkered flags, played loud music. And it's weird. He had me like I was standing in the center of the NASCAR track. And everything was kind of going around me. So it made me very sick and very dizzy. Mm-hmm. And then I got to feel what he had went through in his final moments, and that was where they had beat him over the head and stuff with the baseball bat and set him on fire.
Yeah. So
it isn't always, and I mean, again, I got to feel a small portion of that. That poor man went through hell. Okay?
Oh, sure, yeah, terrible.
Exactly, but, and so I'm not complaining about that little bit that I felt, okay? But then I didn't get to see him. I just got to see everything else, which is why I'm questioning some of the images that I saw today, mm-hmm. and wonder if they belong to the person that I saw physically, or if they are maybe an accomplice, or something, or somebody.
Or maybe more than one person involved.
Exactly, and so that's why I'm kind of keeping those close to my chest. But
you're breaking up a little bit.
Okay, is this better?
Okay. It's just for a moment. It just kind of everything stopped.
Okay. What I want people to really understand is this isn't normal. For me, I can't speak for anybody else, but for me, this isn't something that I sit down and say, "Hey, I'm going to automatic draw." Let's have fun. Right. It doesn't work that way. It's very inconvenient. It happens at the most inopportune times. The messages come when they choose, not when I choose. And so you have to be willing to trust the process. And I've spoken with this a lot to other people and what they need to do. I've always said keep the notebook by the bed, write everything down, draw it out as best you can. But they really need to do that. They really need to. This is, again, I'm not special. I've done this a long time, but I'm not special. Every single one of us out there can do this.
Yeah, I was just about to ask, because you're talking about, you're getting these impressions in your mind, and you're just writing down or drawing out what you see in your head. So it sounds like it could be something that most anybody could do, because, I mean, heck, even my limited abilities, there are times where I walk into a location and it's like, oh, there's somebody behind me, and and I get an idea maybe of gender, size, and I could rough something out, like, okay, there's a somebody in the hallway about maybe this height or whatever, and that's in their male. That's probably going to be about it for me. But other people, they walk into locations and they're like, oh, I see a woman with red hair and green eyes and da 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 da, and I'm guessing they should just boom. Yes, it's. There you go, it's Vanessa. But I'm guessing, they could just take whatever it is that they see in their head and at least attempt something.
Well, right? And you bring up a very good point. And I don't think you meant to, but I'm so glad you did, because I want to touch on this.
Okay.
You say you walk into a place and you get this image behind you.
It's like a feeling.
This is what I want everybody to do. The next time this happens, whether you're investigating, whether you're in your own home, doesn't matter. When you feel that presence, don't do this. Okay? Don't do that.
Don't turn around.
Stop and just let it kind of stand there and let your body start to recognize what is behind you. Now, unless you feel fear and you feel like you gotta fucking run, then run, okay? But give yourself that moment to absorb that energy. Listen to it. Feel it. Write it down. Okay?
Nope, you just cut out again. Come back. Come back. Come back. Hello.
What the? Am I there?
Kinda. Try again.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. There you go.
But, yeah, so, I mean, when you feel that behind you, just listen to it. Write it down. Draw it out as best you can. And especially if you're on an investigation, because you might get something that they can verify, that they can validate when the investigation is over. I mean, that's how I do it with when I investigate with other teams. I finally got it on video.
Wait.
But
Megan Talbot saying I sounded like Rose from Titanic. Seriously, because the whole comeback.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
Yeah, but she was like, come back. She couldn't.
Oh, 5 stars. That's hilarious.
Wow.
We finally got it on tape. Kind of what I do when I start to do that.
Oh, right. Yeah, your whole and that's even a little bit different. I mean, we weren't just we're remote viewing, remote drawing, and other psychic phenomena. So yeah, BPI, when you guys were at Moundsville, they caught you in your trance. So why don't you describe to us a little bit about what's going on there? Because I've heard about this before. Of course, you describe it in your book, Walking with Ghosts. And a lot of shit went down there. So, what is this that happens to you where you're just like zoned out and it seems like you don't even remember most of what happens?
Normally I don't. I really don't. This particular time, I had more of a grasp on myself than I normally do, so I was still in there. There was part of me still in there and still somewhat conscious.
Okay.
Conscious of what was going on. I remember grabbing a chair. I remember walking halfway down the room that I guess they call the Sugar Shack. And I remember sitting down. Then everything kind of goes black.
Mm-hmm.
And I wake up, I think on the other end of the Sugar Shack, and I'm telling them everything that I'm being told.
Yeah.
I'm not drawing it, I'm not writing it. But I'm telling them everything that I'm being told, but that's not my voice.
It's a little different. And I just want to throw something out there, because this is really, the kind of the essence of what you're describing and all these different types of things that you're doing between the viewing, the drawing, and this trance state where Shana said in the chat that, she is the best tool that she has. So basically, our bodies, when we go on a paranormal investigation, are the best tools that we have. And so,
100% agree. 100% agree. That's the thing, and I mean, this is going to come out, I think, sounding a little bit cocky, but y'all know me, I'm not that way. The equipment that we use when I go with somebody on an investigation, it doesn't validate me. I validate the equipment. Okay? Because when I'm going in, whether it's with NP, whether it's with BPI or whoever, it is blind. I don't know anything.
Right. As it should be for a medium.
Yes, it should. But
I have a different opinion for investigators, but,
There should always be one person. always be one person who goes into a location who does not know the history of it. There should always be one, you know. And it's amazing. I did an investigation with Gwen with BPI in Virginia at Sailor's Creek, I think is where it was that we went. Yeah. Big battlefield. And I didn't know anything about it. The stuff I told her, she didn't know about it. She was able to dig and dig and dig and dig and actually validate every single thing I said.
Right.
From the direction they came in to the direction that they said they should have come in, to two of the guys' names that were there. Everything. She was actually able to verify and validate every bit of it. 99% of it she was able to verify. And I went in with no preconceived notion, no knowledge, no nothing. But then again, I think honestly, anybody who is willing to listen to themselves has that capability.
Sure.
You have to, but again, it goes back to humility and being humble. You have to be able to accept criticism. You have to be able to be okay with people telling you you're crazy. Smile when they say it. It's okay.
That's why I started off with. That's why I started off the show saying to my sister that she's fucking wrong.
Boom. Mic drop. Exactly. Get it? Mic drop. Get it? Mic drop.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I mean, we've been involved so long in doing this, so much that. I mean, and we've probably heard it all by now as far as criticism. So just slide right off the back. But for somebody that's a little bit newer, just kind of getting their feet wet, you're gonna get that. And so one of the things that we do with Haunted Road Media, whether it's the books or the videos or whatever, is we want to make sure to tell people, hey, we are experiencing the same stuff. You're not crazy, but there are still other people out there that just flat don't believe in it and will tell you that you're nuts. It's just either they're closed off to it, they haven't had an experience, some of them are so deep in their own ideology that they think everything's a demon or whatever. So we could really go down a rabbit hole there, but you're gonna catch that heat, and you just got to learn to just fuck it.
Yeah, I almost take it as a compliment now.
Yeah,
I really do. And because I think that when we're talking about things like this, everybody thinks that it's super cool to be able to do these things, but they don't understand the separation that comes from it. They don't understand, the fact that people will try to ostracize you.
Yeah, well, with some of the stuff that you do, where you go into this trance state and you just zone out and you don't even remember it, it can be very dangerous for you because you just go off running. And people have to track you down. I mean, God forbid that you are running out into the middle of a busy street and get hit by a car or something. But you go.
Well, and that's the thing. Bless him, a dear, dear, dear friend of mine chewed my ass up one side and down the other over my last little escapade. And the funny thing is I was okay. I was okay. I didn't run. I was merely in another room. And, but this was the second time at Moundsville that I got taken over. And I do understand where the fear comes because, they saw me at my most vulnerable. They saw me where there was no way, without help, I was going to regain control.
Right.
It wasn't going to happen. And I've said it before, I'll say it again, I probably wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for them. So I do very much understand the danger. But I have learned, because of how dangerous it can be, that I have to retain a certain bit of myself. Also,
because it sounds like the New Orleans incident, where you were just running off like that. That didn't sound like that was one of those safe moments.
It was not. It was not. It was going to end very badly, and I know that.
Yeah.
And I have taken all the steps I possibly can to not have that particular situation happen again. You have to keep in mind, at that time, it wasn't one in me. Right. There was a good 20. And it was, I guess, extremely frightening to watch. And I'm glad that's not on tape. Y'all don't need to be seeing that shit, okay?
Yeah, it sounded pretty crazy. And for those of you that don't know what we're talking about, it's in her Giving Up the Ghost book.
Yeah. You can't make that shit up, and I don't even know if I could react it. I don't. Because, I mean, I've never seen it.
So what precautions are you taking for something like that?
I am shielded to a certain degree. I'm not fully shielded. I'm not going to lie to people and tell them that I'm fully shielded. But I make sure that I'm not by myself, which is a big deal. I am shielded somewhat so that I retain some level of control. So in fact, I'm letting this happen. Now, it's not happening to me. I'm letting it happen. There is a difference, okay? But like with Jana, who has seen me do this so many times, she knows, and you watched her in the video, just to kind of step back and just keep an eye on me. Mm-hmm. Just make sure that I'm okay, because they will leave me. They will leave.
Just to let everybody know, the video she's talking about is on the Beyond Perception Investigations YouTube channel.
Yes.
So it's one of the Moundsville. I think it actually has your name in the title.
It does.
Okay.
It does. It's one of the most recent ones too. I actually think it's the last video posted. But if it's just one or even two in there, they'll leave on their own. For the most part, what they want to do is get the message across. You know? And I don't have a problem with that, If I don't have a pen, and paper, go ahead, hop on in. We'll work it out, But what BPI witnessed in Virginia, it was much, much different, and I had absolutely no control. So I do understand that. And I'm not encouraging anybody to do that on their own. But what I am encouraging is, by all means, learn to trust yourself. You've got to. Because I think that so many people come to people like myself, for answers that are just staring them right in the face.
Right.
Now, don't get me wrong, I love it when y'all pay me $50 for a week. Okay? Mama's broke and could use some Christmas for my son, okay? So feel free.
Well, it was stuff where staring people right in the face is probably a little easier, like, hello. I think it's one of those, again, coming down to, almost like self-assurance, self-confidence, that sort of thing, where, people either, want some sort of verification, yes, this is what you're actually seeing or experiencing or whatever, or, sometimes it's even like permission to go do something.
Let me touch on that.
Okay.
Okay? Here's the thing. You don't need anyone to validate a personal experience. Nobody. If you feel in your heart, what the fuck?
Uh-oh. What's going on back there?
They're just getting mad. If you feel in your heart you've been contacted, if you feel in your very being that somebody you love or somebody you know who has passed on has made contact with you in your sleep, or they've moved something in the house and you're like, why is that there? I didn't put that there. Any of those little things that just don't make sense. You don't need me or anybody else in this field to validate your experience, because it's yours.
Yeah, we weren't there.
We weren't there. In my opinion, is irrelevant. It means squat. Okay? If you feel it happened, it happened. The reason that I give the information I give is not because I want people to say, oh, that's great, you're right, this is awesome, you're so cool. I give it because it needs to be given. Whether they accept it or not, that's not on me. That's not on me.
We have a question from X Group Home Kid.
Yeah.
And don't take it the wrong way. I understand the angle he's coming at from this.
By all means.
Question: does Vanessa get busy with readings when tax returns start arriving for people?
Bless him. Honestly, honey, I did not start charging for readings until, what was it, about 4 months ago, Mike?
Yeah, it was just pretty recent.
About 4 months ago, yeah. I have literally done thousands of readings for free. Thousands.
Did you see an uptick around that time for like requests when you were doing it for free?
Wait, what was that again? Say that again.
Did you see an uptick around that time, like around tax time, even when you were doing it for free?
Honestly, it's pretty consistent regardless.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. There was a time, what was it, a couple of years ago, Mike? I was doing about 60 readings a week.
Yeah.
Plus, working 40 hours a week at one job and 20 hours a week at another, and raising my son. And I was
I think there's probably some people taking advantage of you because you were doing it for free.
Oh, they were. That's honestly, that's the reason I charge, and I charge a minimal fee. A lot of people think $50 isn't minimal, but I've actually had people who are paying me for readings telling me I should charge more. You know, and I'm like, I can't do it. My heart allows that. So my heart allows me to charge.
Crazy Canuck is asking the YouTube channel that I said where you could find the video of you at Moundsville, and that was Beyond Perception Investigators, BPI.
Yes.
So we'll find it there.
They do need to put in Beyond Perception Investigators.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I'll have to let
you could probably just search Vanessa Hogle Moundsville. They'll probably pop up with them.
Oh yeah. I'll have to let him know in April. You know. And that's the funny thing is I don't it's could I use the money? Sure, who couldn't, you know? But it's not even about that. It was honestly to weed out the people that just wouldn't leave me alone.
Yeah. Because I know at times you get like the questions, well, will he fall in love with me? And you give them some sort of like whatever answer, and they come back, oh, but this happened. Will he fall in love with me now? And it's like, constant again and again and again with stuff like that.
Well, and the biggest thing for me was, and this is something that I take extreme offense to, and it's something that I will not do. I will not do it. I had people contacting me about 2 years ago, multiple different people, different social media, it didn't matter. And they would want me to read somebody else.
Oh, wow.
They want me to read for them, but they would want the reading on somebody else. I'm like, no.
No, you can't do that.
No, especially if it's a minor.
Yeah, and while you probably could, it's just not ethical.
It is not ethical. Yeah. And just because you don't like your son's girlfriend doesn't mean that I'm going to sit there and tell you all the shit about her. I refuse. I refuse, And I find that people are less likely to ask that if they're paying me $50.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not going to waste it at 50, right?
They're not gonna, and like I said, plus, I mean, I know people have heard me say this before, but I received death threats.
Yeah.
I received death threats because I wasn't getting back to people fast enough to do a free reading for them. My $50 is a big fuck you to those people.
Hey, we have a question from Zippy Davis. Do some things contact you harder than others, like really make it known?
Yeah. They're not, well, hell, for those who haven't read, this was in Soulscapes, wasn't it? I think it was. I don't think as many people have read that as they have the other two. I've told this story before, but I was working for a different dental company, because I'm in corporate dentistry. I work on underprivileged kids. And so the ones that are on the state insurance. And I was at work, and it was a slow day, so I got to go home at noon. And I'm sitting there, and this tells you how long ago this was, because I was on Facebook at first, but you'll hear what I was on after that. So I was on Facebook, and I was talking to somebody, and I had this horrific pain in my stomach. I mean, I doubled over.
Right.
And when I caught my breath, I started typing, and I was typing to her and saying, do you know who this person is? And I was giving her the name, the nickname, the hair color, eye color, how big her boobs were, what her favorite color was, the fact that she loved to ride horses, her dad, his name, everything. And nobody, she nor nobody in her office knew who it was. So this is back when I had my townhome, so I went and laid down on the couch. I was dying. It took all I had not to get up and go to the hospital. And that was at noon. So about 7 o'clock that night, I went and got on MySpace. How long ago this was? I went and got on MySpace. And I was just going through the feed, still in extreme pain. And I was going through the feed, and something popped up in my feed. And it was a woman I had met once. I got a kitten from her at the Pagan Festival.
Okay.
A Pagan picnic. And she had put on her status, please pray for my ex-mother-in-law. She was rushed to the hospital today.
Okay. Uh-oh. We lose you again?
I think I am cool. Okay.
Totally broke up.
Am I there? Okay.
Yeah, it was at please pray, and then that was it.
Okay. It had said, please pray for my ex-mother-in-law. She was taken to the hospital today. And it just hit me. I knew it was her. And so I contacted her, truly believing she was going to think I was crazy. And I said, look, and this was privately on DN, I said, look, I've only met you once. I don't even know why you're on my page, but is this your ex-mother-in-law? And I gave her all of the description. And she says, yes. How did you know that? I said, and I told her what happened, and she goes, oh my goddess, you're not going to believe this. And I said, at this point, what? And she says, my ex-mother-in-law was taken to the hospital for a ruptured stomach. So yes, to answer your question, some come at you a little bit harder than others.
Right.
But it wasn't the ex-mother-in-law that was contacting me. She lived. It was her dead father.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that story, which was really interesting, yeah.
It hurt.
Yeah.
It hurt a lot.
Because you felt that pain. You felt that pain. Because you felt that pain.
Yes, I did. Yeah. Every last bit of it. It wasn't like the fella that got beat and burned, where I only felt a portion of it. I felt every last bit of this. It felt like somebody had stabbed me in the stomach.
Yeah.
So, yeah, some come at you hard. It's not fun. Okay?
No. Can't imagine that it is. And see, that's another thing when people say that they wish that they had these abilities, that you can attest that no, you don't. There's some of the stuff you really just don't want to have. Something like that, I don't think you want that one.
Let me have the ability to call stocks.
Yeah. Yeah. The ability to show the lottery numbers, you know.
Oh, yeah, that's the fun one. People are always saying, oh, you're psychic. Why haven't you won the lottery? Don't be a douche. Don't even let me go there. Don't ask me that, and don't ask me for a love spell, because I'll pop you one.
Although okay? I will contend that the Psychic Network should have seen that they were going to go out of business.
All I'm saying. You know? But you see, you bring up another really good point. I know that we're over time here, but that's another thing. You cannot. Now, once you start doing this more, you're drawing out your pictures and everything else, for the love of goddess or whatever deity you pray to, please do not take yourself too seriously.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
Keep some humor. Keep some humility. And do this to help people.
Yeah, and that's what it's about. It's about helping people. There's, far too many people out there that, are trying to look for some sort of status or to prop themselves up as, whatever guru to whatever. And it's about the people. You're right. It's about helping people. It's about reaching out to others and whatever their issues are to be able to give them some sort of assistance. And really, when you do that, when you are able to help another person like that, that gives you the best feeling inside, really. It's almost like giving a gift to yourself when you help somebody out.
Well, I'm my day job, my career, I'm educated. I'm a professional. I'm a pediatric dental assistant. I work with underprivileged kids. I have done it for 18 years. I have, excuse me, I've been burping. I have been stabbed, had my shoulder dislocated, punched in the boob, thrown up on, shit on, pissed on, had my hair pulled, kicked, my life threatened by a 16-year-old boy who didn't want to hear he needed to brush his teeth, you know. Yeah. And I mean, I wouldn't go through all of that if I didn't truly believe I was helping these kids. I left cosmetic dentistry to work with underprivileged kids.
That's saying something. That's definitely saying something. We got one last question, and we got to wrap it up. From Zippy Davis again. Have you ever wished that you didn't have your gift?
Back when it was costing me relationships and things like that, there were times. There were times when I just wish it would go away. But that having been said, you know, from the age of 13 to basically 30, I shut it all down for the most part, and I learned you can't live that way. You can't. If you can do this, and you've been given this gift, which we all have. We just open up the package is different. If you don't do what you're supposed to do with it, you feel like you're dying a little bit.
Yeah.
And so now I would rather be alone, raising my son, and doing what I do, than I would closing myself down to please any motherfucker out there.
There you go. There you go. One last question that will sneak in because of the delay, so I think it got asked before I said that was the last question. So, from Ether Shadow, does Vanessa have more clarity if she's feeling physically well?
I don't know the last time I felt physically well. Oh, my stars. No, not really. Not really. Sometimes, actually, if I am ill, like if I've got the flu or something like that, it's almost easier for them to come to me, but it does damage to me physically.
Okay.
You know, so I haven't noticed that it's more clear when I'm well than it is when I'm unwell, but sometimes it hurts more when I'm not well.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
No, I get it. Okay. Hope you all. I
hope I said that right.
We have a smart crowd. I think they got it. So
yeah, we do.
Let's go ahead and wrap it up. Let's get into the shout-outs. And Periscope, thank you for joining us. I know Tom, Linz, Amber, thank you very much down there. Thank you for all the hearts, too. So that's our Periscope peeps. There's a couple of which are also in the chat room here. So let's get to that. Let's pop you guys up here on the chat screen. If it'll go. I know it will here in a second. Okay, so, of course, Shana, our chat Shananigator, who is going to be joining us next show. So, stay tuned for that. So, love you very much, Shana. Joanne Rubino, thank you very much. Fran Molino. Charmy Charms, of course, Lynn's White is down there in the chat as well. Linda Miller, hope you start feeling better. Bethany Warner, thank you very much again. Andrew Cubbage, thanks for joining us tonight. Hope the MRI goes well. Dawn, Spooky Spectacular, thanks again for everything. Crazy Canuck, Patrick, thanks for joining us tonight. Zippy Davis, thanks for your questions, really do appreciate it. Donna Gorton, one of our Cheshire Cats, thank you, as always. Female Paranormal Investigators, thanks for joining us tonight, FPI. Joe Chandler, thanks again for joining us, appreciate that. Who else we got? Ether Shadow, thanks for the question, it's awesome. And Sean Gilmore. Okay, so Sean, we just released the St. Joseph's Hospital investigation. Let me pop back over here real quick. Sean was also a guest on our Shadow Person Inside the Upside Down show. So, yeah, stick around for the next hour. We got Inside the Upside Down coming up. But it may seem a little out of order, but I was invited by Sean Gilmore, Eric McGill, Actovision Paranormal to investigate St. Joe's, St. Joseph's Hospital up here in Lorraine, and then Shauna and I followed up a few weeks later with our own investigation. except I just posted the one with Shana and I first before the Ectovision. And that's because the week before I did a public investigation, solo investigation video. So I wanted to get one with Shana back in there, and then we'll just not to keep putting ones in that are just me and somebody else or whatever. So keeping the Shana mix in there. So that's why that one went first. But it's kind of interesting the way it plays out, because in the video with Shana that we just posted, I mentioned the EVP investigation a few different times in there, so it kind of makes the viewer wonder, hey, what's he talking about here? About other stuff going on? So, because there is some shit that went down when we were investigating with EVP, so, and they'll have their video coming out at some point here too. So, okay, so we did that. Now let me get back into other people here. Diane Hilbert, thank you very much. Charming Charms, again, thanks for joining us tonight. Who else do we have up in here? There's Jen, and I know Jen K was in here as well. So, Greg Grinkin, thanks for joining us again. Who else do we have? Was Andrew Cox in here tonight? I don't know.
I wasn't in the chat.
I know you weren't in the chat. Rebecca Gardner, thanks for joining us tonight. Appreciate that. Megan Talbert, of course, she had to take off a little bit early. Who else do we have? Jody Brewer, thanks for showing up tonight. Appreciate that. And let me scroll all the way back down. So I'm going to scroll all the way back down. Oh, Tammy Heitzman, of course. Yeah. And let's see. So anybody else? Sidel DP, thanks for joining us tonight and watching. Appreciate that. X-Group Home Kid, yeah. You had some questions up in there. And Creepy Karma, appreciate that. Thanks for the wave. And anybody else? So here's Shana has a list. Vicki Lawrence, Jen K, Shannon Maitland, Greg Rinkin, Jody Brewer, and Joanne Rubino. Yep. Okay. So we got all those. Thanks. Thank you, my love. And there's Tom McNicholas, of course, because he's down in the whatchamacallit, the Periscope too. I think that's probably about everyone. If I missed you, I do apologize. So, Granny Vapes. Okay, Granny Vapes. Cool. Cool. Joe Chandler. I can't remember if I had or not before. So, all right. So, that is going to do it for Edge of the Rabbit Hole, but stick around, because coming up here in a few minutes, we have Inside the Upside Down. And we're going to be talking about endangered haunted locations. Haunted, whether it's haunted houses, haunted ships, hotels, whatever, and how a number of these places are, on the brink of becoming extinct. So, and I know those of you that have been following us know some of the locations that we're going to be talking about. There's some video footage that I'm going to show, some raw video footage that I haven't released before that I'm going to be showing in this. And for those that are following along on the Facebook page, Haunted Road Media, we've had a bit of a video series going on out there. So, doing a bit more on that tonight on Inside the Upside Down. Shana will be joining me on that as well. So, my love, get your Skype ready. And that'll do it. Thank you, Vanessa, for giving us some insight on remote viewing, remote drawing. And I really hope they do contact you back about what you submitted to them, or trying to submit to them.
I hope they do too, for the simple reason I don't want credit for it. I don't want anything about it. All I want is somebody to have the drawing. Somebody in law enforcement. Oh,
and Shauna's reminded me, don't forget about our viewer from Japan, Rika Yamakaze. Thank you. I know you're going to watch it on the replay. And, there's Andrew Cox down there. Yep, he's there. And he mentions Tim Whitfield, who was up in there earlier. So, cool. So, those are some additional shout-outs here. All right, Vanessa, any last words?
That's it.
That's it. All right. All right.
That's it. I got to walk my dog. So.
Yeah, and Tom is thanking you for showing the drawings. So.
Oh, very, very welcome. I will say this, one last thing. If anybody who is watching knows anyone in law enforcement in North Carolina that they know they're in law enforcement, I'm not talking about just some random Joe Blow. Needs to go to somebody with authority. Badge number, please. Have them contact me. I don't want credit. I don't care about any of that. I just need them to see this drawing. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Okay.
But it's worth a shot.
Please.
It's worth a shot for them to at least take a look at it.
If it was my kid,
yeah.
I'd be pissed.
Yeah, if it was my kid, I would want every single lead that comes through, no matter how nutty or crazy. Yours isn't, but I would still take every single lead, and you can weed out the ones that are ridiculous, of course. But, yeah. So.
Exactly. So, if anyone knows anyone, I would greatly appreciate it.
All right. That'll do it. So, see you all in a few minutes.
Bye, y'all.